this week, we were talking about Jon Huntsman. He's President Obama's former ambassador to China. He makes his candidacy for the GOP ticket official next week. But with that is going to come greater scrutiny. And one thing is sure to draw some attention is his family's business ties to China. Julianna Goldman in Washington with more.
Well, that's right, Betty. You know, Jon Huntsman's going to have a hard enough time in the Republican primary distancing himself from President Obama, but he's also likely going to face some tough questions about Huntsman Corporation. That's his father's chemical company and its profits in China. The company has had operations there since 1992. It's been growing through partnerships with Chinese companies that are typically majority owned by the government. Huntsman Corporation's revenue in China, look at this, it surged 57% when Huntsman was ambassador from 2009 to 2010. Now, Huntsman hasn't said much about his father's company so far, but his younger brother, who's now the company's CEO, he's been talking. Last month, Peter Huntsman said, quote, "We now employ more people between China and India than we do in North America," which is really quite phenomenal when you consider that about 90% of our associates 10 years ago were in North America. And Betty, with jobs the top issue so far this election and decades of voter concerns about U.S. jobs being shipped to China, statements like this, they're not likely to win Huntsman votes, and the ties to his family's company really does put Huntsman in danger of seeming out of touch.
Now, how does he himself talk about, how does he talk about his family and his own China connections?
Well, he hasn't really been forced to talk about it that directly yet. But on the one hand, Huntsman sets himself apart in the Republican race with foreign policy experience. Not many of the other candidates have that, and especially in the country, China, which is arguably the most important to America's economic future. Now, Huntsman's talking point on the U.S.-China relationship, as we heard from his interview with Peter the other day, is the need for more, quote, shared values. But he can't share them too much, or he might be perceived as not sharing the values of those working class voters in the early states he needs to win, like South Carolina and New Hampshire.